Meet my friend Cody. He's filming, but he used to have a business in Ashland, Oregon, in the South, where he fixed banjos, guitars, mandolins, in a little basement shop. And I think he did pretty well. Then he would film his customers playing folk music around. So, about 5 years ago, Cody began having feelings of paranoia that the government had targeted him. People were following him. Sounds familiar, huh? That they were trying to do mind control on him, sabotaging his vehicles, using drones. He left home. He has a family who loves him very much. And for 5 years, they have begged him on his Instagram to come home and take his medicine. The problem is that the longer a person is in psychosis, the longer it will take them to get out of psychosis. Even with medication, it's unfortunate, but it's a thing the brain does. It's almost like it's rerouting, it's rewiring itself the more he is in the depths of this psychosis. He feels that he is persecuted by the American government, and he has the means to do things like travel. What's sad is he's really heartbreaking. He cries because he is so involved. He really feels terrorized, and you can tell these tears are genuine. These are not Lisa Richard tears. He does add music on a lot of things. We don't have stick bugs. It was stink bugs. But, this man is really tortured inside. People will ask him questions, like in this one, Go Off Grid. And they have space drones. They have folks trained off grid. They can track and beg you easier in the bush than in Times Square. He truly feels he's being followed by the government. So that's what he is. He's a spiritual anarcho-primalist. Got that? He felt this was a fake airport because the panel popped open and he could see wires and pipes and stuff. Fake. It's fake. It's all set up by the government. I mean, you can see how people with this mindset would feel. And no, he's in Hong Kong. Yeah. He's been living at the railway station in Hong Kong. He eventually gets arrested, and he said strapped to a bed. So I think he was placed on a psych hold and then on a plane home. I mean, could you imagine flying all the way to Hong Kong and all you did was live in a railway station? But he gets around. Yep. Not everyone has the means. He has a passport, that means. He has the money to buy a ticket. That's not a cheap ticket. That's a long ass flight. So now he's going talking about the Grants Pass. Now, see, Grants Pass, Oregon, passed a law. People think everything in Oregon is like Portland, where it's just cast everything to the wind. We have no laws. You can have any drugs. You can do this. You can do that. Okay, no. A lot of Oregon, especially in the South, is very much like here. It's a very red area. It's very strict laws. Don't like people homeless sleeping in tents in the park. So Grants Pass got so fed up that with their homeless population and the money they were expending on cleaning up the trash and moving them and all this stuff, that they passed an ordinance saying you can't sleep there. There's no outdoor sleeping and you'll go to jail. And I don't know if you've heard me say, but we looked at a couple towns on the Oregon coast to move to. And it was really funny because a friend of ours who is a nurse up in Oregon said, you know what? The best thing to do in Oregon is go pull the local police logs. You'll find out all about the town. So we settled on 2 different towns and we were really interested in them. And the thing that was so funny was I went 2 years through each of their police logs, which were public record. Every time a homeless person drifted into town, the cops picked them up and transported them to the next county and dropped them off. And they kept doing this hopscotch thing. And eventually they get up to Astoria in the north and boop, Washington, here's a new friend. Or California, drop them off in, at the border out of Brookings so they can walk into Crescent City. And believe me, we go to Crescent City a lot, and yeah, it's a ruin that I don't know what's worse, the prison families or the homeless population. Brookings, Oregon, and Crescent City have been ruined by the homeless populations because I tell the story the last time I took the kids when they were young. They were like 13. I brought my daughter and her little friend from across the street, and we went to Crescent City, and we were walking on the beach, and I would not let them walk on the beach alone. I would walk like 20 feet behind them so I could keep an eye on them. And all of a sudden, I'm realizing, and I'm photographing it, that there are hypodermic syringes on the tide line. And I'm like, what the hell? And I'm sitting there looking around and I'm watching drug deals go down. I wrote the city council. I wrote the Chamber of Commerce. I wrote the mayor. That was ridiculous. I never took the kids back there. We started going south. So he's apparently mad that Grants passed. Yeah. This was a big case. It had to do with a lot of things, but part of it was the sleeping outside rule where Grants Pass was tired of homeless folks setting up tents. And they said, you need to keep moving. The problem is Grants Pass is on I-5, pretty much. You have to get off I-5 and go west a bit. But it's more accessible to I-5, so it has a higher traffic of homeless people. And just like us, I-5 cuts through the middle of our city. So everybody goes along I-5. All the cities in Oregon that are by Interstate 5 have the best resources. Now, you go out to the coast of Oregon, there are not as many resources. Ergo, there are not as many homeless people.
I went on a word for 2024. It's being in the most trouble that anybody's ever been in, maybe in the modern age. I am in a global amount of trouble. I'm not kidding. I honestly don't know where to start, but first of all, you're not going to believe me until I bring the receipts, and I have the receipts. Second of all, there's stuff I can't talk about, and that's okay. I don't want to hurt anybody. My problem is that I like everybody, and I want everybody to get along, and I want to be really transparent about everything. But that's not how the world works. And I am not kidding when I say I'm in a global amount of trouble. So first of all, I had to flee the Western U.S. because I think Dark MAGA and the police, along with them, were trying to take my life. They were trying to unalive me, really. Just explaining that whole situation would take a really long time. That's like a whole series of videos in itself. The gist of it is a bunch of people, not just guys, not just white guys either, but a bunch of people got together and decided to unalive me and tried really, really hard and like went through a colossal, an enormous effort to do so. It started out with me getting chased from my home in Ashland, Oregon, where I had already been in nightly car chases to the point where like I was sleeping in my driver's seat, and I was always parked in some way where I could drive off in case, somebody scared me or tried to box. That was on a nightly basis, but on the full moon, this last June, I got chased out of Ashland, Oregon, Southern Oregon, down into the Central Valley of California, and hundreds of people at that point, including people in CAL FIRE trucks and highway patrol and state police, started chasing me down. And I got boxed in a couple times around Oroville, and what looked like cartel possibly hit me. At one point, it was right in front of a police station, and there was like, road work and construction crews bottlenecking traffic and making things convenient.
So, lucky for us, he filmed this actual incident, and I can tell you personally what happened. Okay, so this is a compilation he did. Even though he published this year, this was all filmed October, September 2023. Okay. A lot of it's just this drone footage he talks about. So he says, I was already under intel satellite drone surveillance at this point, but even then, this was highly bizarre. These looked like they could carry people, these drones. Okay. So then he says, lots of aerial stuff. I didn't even get a chance to record this. Light in the hills seemed to observe me between Ashland, Oregon, up Siskiyou Pass, and down into the Colstein. That's a valley. But I barely have this tiny clip. So this was great. His phone lines were getting interfered with. And he starts following this random dude who looks like a tweaker. But one day I was in the grocery store parking lot, and I had two geared up work trucks pull up on either side of me. And I suddenly saw my data and cell service drop to 0, despite knowing this was a good spot to get reliable reception. So I drove away from the trucks, just around the corner. After toggling some settings, I got my service back and I heard someone yell, "Fuck," like they could tell, and they were pissed. It was this guy. So I followed him down to the corner in my bus. He literally drives one of the short buses. And he definitely wasn't happy about something. This was a huge red flag. Yeah, he couldn't buy any meth. He just looked operative to me. I would later have both of my phone lines taken out on the 4th of July, while all phone stores were closed incidentally. It's a holiday. One line I wasn't ever able to recover. The phone company just acted as if it was impossible, despite having paid months in advance. This allowed someone access to all my accounts, nearly shutting me out of total radio silence. Now, he goes on and on about this man who is just walking down the street and is pissed off about something. He could be pissed off because they sold out of chalupas. Now, he's on I-5. Everyone had to pull off because of what you're about to see. But he is just... Of course he's not parking. It's because of this. He thinks these CAL FIRE trucks. The low rumbling sound is your vehicle. So, do you see this? They're all heading south. Do you see that sky? That's a fire sky. This was during a fire response. We send engines from every station to assist other areas. And he's convinced this CAL FIRE response is government agents.
Throughout the night, it bumps and rattles.
And it turns out to be his air conditioning compressor. He has a thing about the full moon. I don't know, maybe he's a werewolf. He actually drove to New York City in that school bus.
In Hong Kong. Chalk that up on the list of things that I never thought I'd say. Not terribly surprised now that we're here, but I want you to look at this man.
See this random dude?
That's my bus in the mirror there.
Yeah.
Do you know who that guy is? No, you wouldn't. That's the architect of the Guantanamo torture programs. At least the most famous architect, I think. Here's some footage from an interview he did with Vice.
You can make people say anything to stop
completely different nose.
Harsh interrogations if you apply them in a way that does that.
I know they don't look exactly the same. These people can look however they want. Any build, any skin tone, any job. And paranoid schizophrenia TikTok. This is watch your fucking ass if you're an activist TikTok. Because I think that this tactic is new to the United States and it's fucking terrifying. So first of all. Second of all, have you ever heard of the heirloom? It's this famous case.
Okay, so I went and looked this up and this is fascinating. He's right. He's right. He's not stupid. This man is bright. But let's look it up. So if you type in the heirloom, it comes up with this man who he talks about, James Tilly Matthews. And he wrote a book in 1810. He illustrated his book. This is the heirloom. It actually was built, and it is in a museum in England. And it runs on magnetic fluids, as they say. James Matthews was a patient in Bedlam Hospital, and he was the first diagnosed paranoid schizophrenic. Now, I don't know why I thought paranoid schizophrenia was coined by a French psychiatrist, doctor. I don't think they even called him that then. But he felt that, but apparently it was in Britain, in Bedlam Hospital. So they even have their own website, theheirloom.org. And they tell you all about his machine. And it's a mind control machine. And he was so convinced that it was built. It was built. It didn't control minds. But this website, if you go to it, theheirloom.org, you can go through their menu and it will tell you all kinds of stuff. Books about him, books about the machine. They have videos, images, everything. It's fascinating. So when he brought that up, it struck me, this man has read a lot. And he is, like many people in psychosis, he has applied his perception of what he read into his everyday existence. He will tell you he's not paranoid schizophrenic. He will tell you that he is a targeted individual. Sometimes he will say he's gang stalked. Sometimes he won't. But everything has a grain of truth to it, or a fact. Now, I haven't figured out yet his thing about the full moon, but he really has a thing about moon phases. And I love this. He is making us a picture board.
This is a sun cross. And this is one of the most ancient symbols on the planet. And what it is
Which is true.
a complete map of reality. It's a map of the world, it's a map of time, it's a map of space. And what it's a map of is the cyclical nature of reality. And it's micro and macrocosmic, okay? So we're talking about the course of a day, the course of a year, course of a lifetime, even greater cycles, even more metaphysical cycles, and the energies therein that make up the complete interplay of shadow and light, which is what manifests the entire universe. And
I love it when people in psychosis draw, because there is a lot you can glean just from artwork. Like, look at all the symbols. He has the yin and yang. He has a pentacle, not a pentagram, because we know pentagrams have the point down. This is point up, so good. A sun cross, and I think this is a Breton Gallic Trinity, but I'm not sure. He has everything numbered: fall and fear, Halloween. So we have winter, spring, April Fools, not a holiday. At least not in my family's animistic for hundreds of years religion. No. It's like loosely combining all kinds of religions. And they tend to do that. They do tend to do that. Kind of like Barb. Not that Barb's in psychosis. She's just an idiot. But people will pick and choose things from all different religions, combine them to create some kind of proof of something.
The cycle of life in which we participate.
Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, April Fool's Day has nothing to do with the cycle of life. Okay?
You can see we have just like moon phases, or the cycle of, a day, a sunrise to a sunset to another sunrise.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, I'm going to keep looking into him. I have followed him. That's why I told Hubs he could not do Flight Medic. Married to one of them, and I freaked out every time that thing took off. Nope, we're not going to watch it. So I'm going to keep looking into my friend Cody. If I ever see him here, I will definitely stop him, and we will have a live chat on the spot. But I find him interesting. He's fascinating. He's harmless. And he gets around. He travels. I just hope that he gets home to his family, for his family's sake. And put him back on medicine so he can stop torturing his soul.